Hi for everybody saying hi. I'll do a Q&A after this. So let's try to hold the questions until then. The setup here at my house is I have a big, huge monitor in front that's blasting at me, and I have the console here and also to my right, and the controller in my hand. So you'll see me shifting as I talk about certain things. Uh, it's been, I don't know, probably a week and a half or so since the last build. And one of the things that I think the whole team wants to say is thank you to all of the Preview Alpha members that are out there. The feedback that we're getting is phenomenal. It's really helping us make the right tweaks, look up the right areas, and improve the build. And the feedback, just keep that feedback coming in because it's something that really, really helps us as we think about this. The team reads every single thread that's out there possible. I don't, because some threads are, kind of scary to read, and some are very positive and some are very constructive. But the team scours everything and takes a look at all of that. And so we appreciate all the time, the effort. With this build, there'll no doubt be bugs and things won't work. And so continue to send that feedback to us as much as possible. So you can see I have the Xbox up. It is running. I'm playing Path of Exile lately. If you haven't played that game, go check it out. And this is the new build that'll go out at 6 o'clock. And so a couple of things that we've changed in this build. Some of this I talked a little bit about at Gamescom. Some of it I'll talk about with Major Nelson on Saturday at PAX West. And we might have a few more things to talk about at that time as well. So the first thing is we've done a lot of cleanup in the UI. We fixed a lot of bugs that were reported that you won't see just by looking at the picture. And then there's a lot of feedback that we addressed. And the team is doing an outstanding job of engaging with the community and driving those changes. So I want to dive into those changes. First off, when I look at home in general, you'll see that the resume icon is much bigger now. There was a lot of feedback that said the resume icon's too small, or people actually were saying, "Where do I resume the thing that I was doing?" because it was that small. And so we've made that bigger and more prevalent so people can see it. You can also see that at the bottom left, you see pins and Xbox Live Gold. The things that I have, the content blocks that I have on my home, now show up right there so that people know to go down and check those out and not just stay at the top. That was actually a big requested item. Let people peek at what's possible down there. So we shifted everything up. There was also a lot of feedback of, man, there's just a lot of open space up there. We're not using that effectively. And so you can see we've shifted things up and made it a little tighter and a little better from a UI standpoint. Some of you may have seen pins. We changed pins from going to 18 to 40 now. I don't have 40 there. I could pin 3 more things and have 40. But these are the pins. And if I had less pins, this will dynamically change in size so that, if I had 10 pins, they'd be a lot bigger. But that was one of the biggest pieces of feedback that we received is give us more pins. And so we're throwing 40 pins out there for all of you folks that have 40 games in your backlog waiting to play. That was a big change for us. Not only there, also in the guide, you'll see all 40 pins too. And so you've got 2 places to go to get to those pins. If you're in a game and you're playing and you don't want to go home to start your next game or start YouTube or Netflix, just open the guide, go to pins, and you can start it right there. About keeping you in the game, giving you the choice to do what you want to do at any point in the system. And so we put 40 both at home and in the guide. Let's talk a little bit about the discovery slots. As I've talked about before on the stream, one of our goals was to improve discovery, letting people find other people to play with, know what's going on to Xbox Live when they start. That's these slots here. And there was a lot of feedback on these slots relative to what you want, you as an individual, what you want to see versus what's just programmed there. And so we've done a couple of things there. One, we've made them more relevant content. And so you won't see things like, here's a random person to be your friend. We've gone through those algorithms. We're looking at it. We are still optimizing those algorithms, but we're really working on that hard to make sure that's good. We've also cleaned up the descriptions a lot. Some of the descriptions, the text was very big. It was hard to see. And so that was pretty confusing for people. There are visual improvements. You're seeing one right now. Rand is in my friends list. He's a little bit 300 or so ahead of me on the Gamerscore leaderboard, and so you can see we've added avatars. That's not the new avatars yet. So for those of you that are going to start saying, "Is that the new ones?" That's not the new ones, obviously, but we're going to add avatars in there so you can see that. Now, perhaps one of the most important pieces of feedback we received was, "Hey, I want to actually influence what is shown there. I want to kind of be able to indirectly control what's kind of shown there." And so we're going to add that feature. For example, if I like actually seeing which of my friends are higher or lower than me in the leaderboard, so I'll leave that one. But this one here, this is a teaching tip. There's a set of tips that we put for new people that are using the Xbox so they know what's going on. Now, since I'm in the platform team at Xbox, I don't think I need too many tips. The team would probably disagree with that, but let's just say I don't need any tips. What I'll do is here, I'll hit a button and I can say, show more like this, or don't show me this. Show less of this type of thing. And that will give you indirect control on what kind of goes there. So as you use it, you can say, hey, I either want that or I don't want that. So let's do less of that. And what'll happen is it'll refresh over time and show you something else in there. For example, if you have an upcoming arena tournament, it'll say your arena tournament is coming up. If you have a game installing, it'll say the percent of the install of what that game is and what the status is. And so you'll be able to kind of influence those for what you want to see, which is really good. We want you guys to test this out and use it as much as possible to see how it goes. We've talked a little bit about the peak elements there. You'll also notice my background, which some of you have already commented on. There was a lot of feedback about there's a lot of gray, these big gray lines and gray bars. And so I have a custom Halo 5 background on that's just from a piece of achievement in Halo 5 that I'm using. And I can change the transparency of that for what I want. And so if I go over to my settings, you'll notice we have notifications now as the default thing here instead of all settings to make it easier to get to your notifications. But if I go here and I go into personalization, my color and background, and in here, you can see transparency. I can set this to solid and then go back to home and you'll see that it's solid gray at the bottom, which some people like, other people don't like. So me personally, I like the transparency. And so I'm going to go back in here and I'm going to change my transparency to, mostly transparent. And then when I go back home, you'll see this background is now very transparent all the way down, no matter what I'm doing in my home. And so that changes based on your feedback of we want more transparency. And I can see you guys are all saying, gross, change it back. So, we've done that. Let's talk a little bit about content blocks, because content blocks are a really cool feature and it takes a little while to get used to what they are. I have a content block for my 40 pins because I have a backlog all the time. And so, I always have pins right there. Sometimes I only have pins. I also have Xbox Live Gold here. And I have Xbox Live Gold here because I like to know what the latest free games are that I can just go get and download and play. And this is the fastest way to do that. Anytime new Xbox Live Gold games come, they'll show up right there, and it'll be really easy to get to. Now, I can also, if I don't want gold, like I see, if I don't want gold, I can just delete this. I put this there. I manually said I want that there. If I didn't want that there, I can hit edit block, which is the Y button, and then just delete it. I'll just do it. Hit X, and then it's gone. Xbox Live Gold is no longer there. You can add friends, games. I'll do some of that, some of the games here in a second. Now, discoverability of what you can add as a content block is a little hard. It's hard for people to get used to it and say, wow, what can I add there and what value does that there? And so we've added this section called Add More, which is just examples of things that you can add as a content block. A lot of users told us, hey, we like this idea of content blocks, but we don't know what we can put there. And so I'm playing Path of Exile, like I said, a lot lately. Let's go ahead and add Path of Exile, the game, as a content block. I just hit A. And then Path of Exile is going to load as a content block on my home. And so if I go down to Path of Exile, you see my pins are here. Path of Exile is now added here. I can see the achievement that I'm closest to getting, a message from the developer, which I actually didn't know that they were going to do a patch to Xbox One really soon. So that's really cool. And I can see some media from other players. And so messages from developers about what's going on in the game, the latest achievement, and this will evolve over time and be customized to add things. For example, if there's a new free car pack in Forza Horizon, that would show up here so you know to go get it. Now, since this developer said something, let's go ahead and go here. You just click, it comes up. It gives you the full text of what's going on. It looks like it's going to be updated to the 3.01c version on PC. You know, I like that. I like what this developer is doing with the game, so I'll go ahead and like that. But that's pretty simple. Mac asks, how do you do more? You just hit the menu key on him. So when you're here, you just hit the menu key, and you can do this. Just to go back to that really fast because I saw that question. So I can pin, when I pin a game, it also shows me what friends are playing that game. So right now I have 2 friends, Hish and Beard, playing Path of Exile on Xbox, which is really cool. So I'm going to go ahead and actually, one more thing is, what about the order of these? What if I always want pins to be at the top? That's really simple. Just hit Y to customize it, move it up, and confirm. Now, pins is first, Path of Exile is second. So you can add tons of these. I could add people. I could have Maka, who's in the stream, who makes great achievement guides. I could have him on here so I see what he's doing, what games he's playing, what posts he's done on his activity feed in case he posts a new guide so I know when new guides come up. Super simple ways to know what people are doing and understand that. I can add games. I already told you. This is Larry's news, events, and more about Xbox. You can add this to see the Larry videos, what's going on Xbox, inside Xbox, all of those. I can add people. So Roxas is someone that I'm playing Path of Exile with. I could add him. I see when he's online. I see the latest achievement he's got. I see what he's posted, what screenshots or DVR clips he's done, and things like that, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff. So let's go back up to top of the home and let's talk a little bit about Mixer because this build introduces a few cool things with Mixer. First off, on Mixer, we announced on Twitter already that we have 1080p broadcasting native to the console now. Before it was 720, now you can do 1080p as well. And what we'll do there is we'll actually test your bandwidth. And depending on your bandwidth, we'll set it to 720 or 1080. We want it to be really simple. On PC, one of the most challenging things is literally setting up OBS and everything else with all these settings to know that your bandwidth works appropriately and people are having a good time streaming that. You can also co-stream with up to 3 people on the console. In addition to that, on Mixer, when you start broadcasting, you will now see your level, your sparks, the total views of your channel picture, and more. So that detail that was in your channel in a browser is now going to show up on the console, which I think is really cool. One more thing. I'm going to invite someone to a party right now because I think this is a pretty cool feature that a lot of you will use. So let's go over to my friends and let's find Kramer, and let's invite. Kramer is a member of the Xbox Live team. Let's invite Kramer to the party, and hopefully he's at his Xbox and joins the party. You never know with Kramer, he might be snoozing. You're in. Oh, okay. So Kramer joins the party. Now, a lot of people are like, if they want to go to the party and manage the party, what's an easy way to do that? Now, when you open up the guide, you'll see party shows up right here in your MRU right at the top. And so you don't have to go into the menus to find it. You can just click here and you're immediately in here. And the reason why it says no microphone is because my microphone's connected to my PC that I'm using, so ignore that. But managing that is super simple. You know, you want to manage your party, just go in here. It's always the first thing. Boom, I'm in there. I can turn on the overlay. I can invite people. I can make it locked. We're looking for more ways in Guide to do that. Context aware, what the gamer is doing, and how does Guide smart enough to know that might be what the person wants to do, which is pretty cool. So let me go out of the party because, you know, never know what Kramer might say in a live stream. Um, we also announced Hebrew and Arabic language support, which is something big for those two regions and a request they've been asking for. I'm very excited. That's right to left language support, which is pretty challenging to do in the UI, but that is something that we are delivering as well. Let's go to the game hub of a game. Let's just choose Path of Exile. Game hubs are getting redesigned, which is really cool because game hubs right now, I think, can be somewhat hard to use. Actually, you know what? Let me choose. Let's do Madden since it's kind of new and out there. So this is Madden's game hub from EA. What'll happen here in the game hub is you'll be able to see all of the posts that the developer has done. You'll be able to see broadcasts that that users have put up there, as well as DVR clips. Sorry, I have a little bit of a lag from my TV to this. So here's Path of Exile's game hub. We'll just use this. We can see people playing. Beard is playing right now, and so is Hish. You can see the latest achievements that I have that I'm closest to getting. You can see broadcasts from the community, the feed, what developers are doing, captures, clubs relative to this specific game. And so it's about being in an IP and being able to see what's going on in that. And a lot of this data, you'll notice that a lot of this data is what is in the content block if I pin this to home. And so if you want super fast, easy access to a game or to a person, you just you put them as a content block and you're good. But if you don't, you go to the Game Hub, and the very first welcome screen for the Game Hub has all of this information. Now we might change the style of this, and you can see some of the UI is a little bit, not that optimized yet. But in general, you'll see everything about that game is right here, which is really, really cool that it's there. Now, the last thing I'll talk about, and then we'll do a quick Q&A, is tournaments. If you're in a tournament like World of Tanks or something, and that's your tournament's coming up, we had a lot of feedback of we may need it easier. We need an easier way to get to those tournaments, and so now in the guide in the multiplayer, all your tournaments are simply right here. And no more going to the game hub for that game, going to the tournaments tab and trying to find it. You just click here, and I'm not in any tournaments, but if I was, they would show up right here. If I actually want to just discover games that have tournaments, I can click here to find all the games that have active tournaments and join into those. And so we want to make it really easy for people to be able to get into tournaments and play with this update. Okay, so I went through a lot of stuff in 15 minutes or so because I think it's easier to actually have a video or a stream of what's new in the build versus kind of reading the build notes and stuff like that. That said, if you do have questions about any of this, please, I'll take a couple of questions now. Doing questions is always hard because 50 of them come up. So yeah, this will be recorded as a VOD, so anyone will be able to go back and look at this. Did they take away the super glowing highlight? No, I'm an idiot. 19. What that is my system color is actually the blue. The square around the blue. See that? My system color is that color, and so that's the highlight. If I go to my games and apps, you can see I still have the design language kind of highlights through all of the systems as well. White theme. I believe white theme is in the build. Should we go see? Let me try to remember where the team has moved this to. I'm trying to remember where we put this. Hold on. This is, by the way, I want to show you this. So the question around the block is your system color. See, this is not my system color on OK, so you can see that it's still there. But my system color is this blue, and so when it's that blue, that's what you'll see when I go around that. Here we go. So light is in the build. So if I go to light, all of a sudden I'm light, and here's guide in light. You can see that light theme it's in the build. There are bugs. There are bugs in the build. So please use the light theme as much as you can. And if you see bugs, submit them. But white theme is in the build. And you can go. The full plumbing of the light theme isn't all the way through the build, and so as you use the white theme, you'll notice areas that are still the dark theme. Don't worry about that. Go ahead and bug that, but we know that the white theme isn't plugged in all the way through that just yet. Also, we're doing high contrast modes for accessibility for both the dark theme and the light theme. So if you're someone that uses that as an accessibility feature, those will be coming in both high contrast modes as well. So I'm going to go back to dark just because it lights up my face a lot if I'm in if I'm streaming and I'm in this this mode. Okay. Any other questions? Let's see. I'm looking for. Is there any plans to add arena tournaments for Forza? We'll have to ask the Turn 10 team about that. Paul asks, is it possible to show content block just for achievements close to unlocking? Not at launch, Paul, but that is a very good idea that I will pass on to the team for the achievement hunters for sure. Can we share our broadcast straight to social sites like Twitter from Xbox? If Chad's in the stream, he should answer that one. I don't think we have sharing of broadcast. We have sharing of media, but sharing of broadcast would be a very cool feature to add as well. Let's see. I don't know when the beta ring will get this. I know that we're going at 6 o'clock in 7 minutes to the alpha group. But I don't know when we're going to broaden that out to more people. There is a schedule. I just haven't seen the latest yet, so I don't want to say a date right now because it could be wrong. But we'll try to get that. We'll try to get that out as soon as we can. The light theme may not be in the build that is going out at 6 o'clock. I've got conflicting reports on that one, so it's obviously in my build. But we'll see. Can you change the size of pins? No, they'll auto change based on the number that you have, but you can't manually change those. Content blocks at live tiles on Win. Directionally, we didn't create content blocks like live tiles, and so whether or not those converge or not, I don't know. But we didn't use that concept when we created those. Is there another chance to get the day one achievement quick? There is not. Sorry, that was a one-time thing. Can you expect more features and changes as we go on? Yes, there will be more features, more adjustments, and more changes as we go on. So please keep the feedback coming in. I am the goat asked, any updates on Snap coming back? Right now, our plan is to not have Snap come back for reasons that we talked about before. Two main reasons. One, many of the app developers were either going to stop supporting Snap, including the very popular ones that you all used, or two, they already stopped. And the second reason is performance. We needed to free up the memory to speed this thing up. Are there any plans for changes in the way we share our game clips or screenshots? There are. There are some changes to make it easier to share and edit screenshots and DVR clips, and there's also changes to the fidelity of DVR clips you can take with Xbox One X that we'll talk about a little bit later on. Okay, it's almost 6 o'clock. People are going to go get the build, and so I wanted to keep this to just 30 minutes, so that I could just do a kind of a verbal highlight of some of these features. It's only been about a week and a half since the last build, so people shouldn't expect these huge amounts of changes here. But we will be faster at iterating builds, and more builds will be coming. Please keep the feedback coming. Thank you to everyone who's testing this. And helping us create Xbox. We want to make this the absolute best system for you and for all gamers in terms of the features and capabilities that we have.